Hi, I'm a bag of bones.
Oh, and I'm a bag of chips.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, poor you. No, bag of chips is all right. They're
he's
just
such a bitch this season. Such a lazy bitch. Don't want to do
oh.
anything.
Oh damn. I haven't been watching. For
No, I
those that
know.
don't know that are just now listening in, we're talking about drag race US versus or UK versus the
UK.
world,
Well, it's now turned into UK versus the US. So,
which is unfortunate.
yeah.
Honestly, what a disservice.
Whoa, a disservice to the world.
Honestly.
Well, to
Well,
be fair, when you cast 3 UK and 2 of like RuPaul's favorite US, it's what's going to happen here. But oh well.
yeah, and it's really tough too because with any kind of reality show like that, obviously the edit plays like a huge part, and so it's really unfortunate to see like queens that really didn't get a chance to kind of get like but it's a reality show first and foremost. But you're not here to hear us talk about reality shows.
No, and if you wanna hear me talk about Drag Race, you could tune in on RHAP. Hey, but
Yes.
instead, welcome to Hot Mess Moments, everyone.
Hot mess moments.
So hot, such a mess, such a moment.
Yeah. My name is Dylan Zaner, also known as 8-Bit Dylan online, on Twitch, on Twitter, all that jazz. And Lost is my favorite show, but I've never seen The Nanny before.
And I'm Beth Dixon, also known as Augusta Wind 11 on all my social medias, including my Twitch channel. And I've never seen Lost before, but The Nanny is my all-time favorite show. And we are here to discuss the season 1 or 3 opener, episode 1. There we go. Of
Yeah.
Lost in episode 2. I am
Oh,
like so excited.
yeah. I'm so hyped to like hear your opinions, your thoughts. So many questions were answered and so many new questions were raised in this like premiere basically of season 3. But before we get into that, how you been, girl?
Okay, it's been a busy week of work
Yeah,
and
same.
but I get to go to a bachelorette party this weekend for my little
Hell
cousin.
yeah. Are
So
you
fun.
are you excited to drink and be stupid and silly and just like give your energy to others around you after being cooped up in a house? I guess you recently saw some friends, so
Yeah, I actually have had quite a social calendar the last week or so. So that's been really nice. Like, this past weekend,
yeah.
I drank a lot comparatively. Um,
You're like, I'm actually I saw that. Was that like lights from like
that was a car going by on the street, but I've never noticed it like that on my wall. Have you?
no.
I wonder if they had high beams on. In which case, what are you doing in the city with high beams on?
Yeah,
It's
you're
well
gonna get
lit.
honked at. You're about to get yelled at.
The amount of honks. Yeah, but I I have already said I'm not going to the club. But that's
Yeah.
more for COVID than for anything else, although it's a perfect excuse for someone like me who freaking hates the club. But I honestly am not going because of COVID. But I am looking forward to everything else. We're gonna do a brunch cruise around Boston Harbor.
Ooh, that sounds really fun.
I think it's gonna be really fun. We're gonna go out to a couple restaurants, and then Saturday night we're gonna have we're just gonna stay in the Airbnb and do a PJ party, like little sleepover kind of thing. So I am bringing all the games. So I bought like
Hell
the
yeah.
traditional kind of bachelorette game that everybody gets now, which is like
Ticket to Ride.
Girls Night In. Yeah, Catan. Yeah, could you fucking imagine? I just brought Catan.
You bring like Candyland, like some like
Could you
weird.
imagine? Like, give me a sheep, you fucking bitch. Yes. You better drink, you fucking whore. I rolled a
You
7.
you bring Betrayal in the House on the Hill, like
Hardcore.
yeah.
Mansions of Madness. Could you
Oh
actually?
my god.
I'm putting this out there. Should I ever be in a position where I'm getting married and I'm having a bachelorette party? One,
Yeah.
I don't actually want to go to a drag show because I don't want to be that girl who has a
I think you
bachelorette
should. I
party.
think you should go to the drag
Um,
show. But then you require everyone that's there that for your bachelor party, they have to donate at least $25 plus in tips
And they
to the
also have to
artist.
sit through my drag etiquette 101 like class before we go, where I'm like, do not do these things. um,
Yeah.
so yeah, so there's that. I also fully am like game night, we're doing it. And I do want freaking like Betrayal in the House on the Hill. Like that's
Hell
the kind
yeah.
of shit I want. We're gonna play Tapestry. Yes. 3, spa. I want to go to massage, blah, blah, blah.
Ooh, that sounds
I don't
amazing.
care about drinking.
No,
I don't.
I feel ya. I
I like drinking with close friends, but I don't want even like on a bachelorette party, like the expectation to drink, I want it to happen naturally.
Yeah. It's it's like one of those things too where I feel like 9 times out of 10, the pre-gaming for the actual event is more fun than the actual event that you're pre-gaming for.
I mean, once again, I always did the pre-gaming in college, and then we'd all be like, "Is everyone fucking ready? Let's go to this fucking party." And then like we as we were leaving, I'd be like, "Oh my god, I forgot something in my room." And then they would just leave without me. And I would snuggle into bed and turn on Nick at Night and watch The Nanny and sober up and then go to sleep. I
Yeah, that sounds
hated
amazing.
going to parties because I was like, I had more fun when it was a small group and we played drinking games. Like that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Then I'd go to a
I
party where people would be like, "Can I like thrust my cock upon you?" And I
and
was
you're
like,
like,
"No,
"Sure, for $50." Like I
seriously."
I used to hate around college time, even like post college, going out with my friends because at the time, see, if I'm going to the club, I'm going to the club. Okay. I'm
Yep.
dancing, I'm having fun, I'm not half assing it, I'm making a night of it. I would go out with the worst people who we would
Call me out.
pregame and they would get so belligerently drunk and tired, they would give up within not even 15 minutes at the club. I would pay an entry fee to get in, and then they would fucking leave, and I'd be by myself at the bar. And I was like, well, I'm gonna leave. I'm not gonna sit here by myself. I don't know fucking anyone here. But
Yeah.
I was like, I would make a whole night of it. I'd be so hyped. I'm like, oh my God, I'm finally gonna dance with my friends. It's gonna be fun. And they're all like out trying to fuck people, but then they end up just falling asleep. And I'm just like, fuck you all.
See,
Ruining
I
my
just don't like
fun.
dancing that much. Like I have to be in the correct mood to dance. And
Yeah.
like sometimes it's a wedding, but even then, like I just have to be in the correct mood. There are times where I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I got to put on some music and dance naked like around my apartment and I
Yeah.
will do that and then I will laugh at myself about how stupid like the jiggling and everything is as I like go around the apartment and then I take a shower and then I'm good to go for the day. But like I very rarely want to go out and dance. I'd much
Yeah.
rather go out to a bar and drink and have fun with friends. And if there's a dancing part of the bar, like that's cool. Like people can go dance if they want, they can come back. I love the bars that have like activities, like games. I don't care if
Like
it's
darts.
darts or something. Like
Yeah.
I love that. Or shuffleboard. Bitch, you get me drunk shuffleboarding. That's fun. Or what's the why can't I think of the one where you throw the we literally own it like at my house.
I have no idea. Skee ball?
No, it's you have the bean bags and you're trying to throw it into
Oh,
the hole on the other.
I know what you're talking
People
about.
are screaming it and at home right now.
It's corn hole.
Cornhole, cornhole.
Yeah.
Thank you,
I
thank
was
you.
like, it's corn something.
Corn on the cob. Um, but yeah, like give me one of those. I'm gonna have a blasty blast. And guess what? I will probably also dance on the spot and be real stupid. But if the whole point is dancing, it's like I don't want to do it.
Oh, see, for me, I vibe off the energy of the people I'm around. So, like, if people are like dancing, oh, bitch, I am dancing like it's nobody's business. That's like the best part about when I used to go out partying with friends is like you have to get the right crew that knows like when to go and then know when to like let's back off. This isn't the song. Let's just chill. Let's go chat. Let's go like, refill our drinks. And then like the minute that nice song comes on, you're like, "Oh, bitch, we out there.
Hit
Let's
it.
fucking go." Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that was my vibe. Nowadays, I don't know if I would do that, but like I said
Well,
earlier, I have that party that I'm going to.
yeah, I think that you're gonna
Um,
have a blast then.
and we're gonna see.
I also think you and I are at the age too where, we're early 30s at this point. Like
Yeah.
the majority of our like really hard going club days are probably
Oh,
behind us.
for sure.
Um, but like you and I have hung out and we've had drinks and that kind of thing before. And I mean, the night that I was in San Francisco at your place and we were like drunk playing Mario Kart, I had a lot of fun.
That was
Um,
so much fun.
it was so stupid. That TikTok of
Oh, no, that wasn't the one.
that wasn't even that one. The one where you're like, you just got a star, bitch. And I'm like, yeah, or whatever. It's
Yeah.
so stupid.
That's so
Um,
dumb.
anyway, it's
Honestly,
all
should have
good.
popped off more.
Honestly, wasn't that your first TikTok?
Yes. Didn't
Iconic.
didn't didn't even pop off.
Ugh, pop
Okay.
off this.
So we have a lot to talk about with
Not
Lost.
really. It was really boring. There wasn't a just kidding.
I was like, "Oh,
Your fucking
interesting.
face
You're
just I was
wrong."
like, oh
But
wow, incorrect opinion, Beth.
I'm curious, like, what we'll have to talk about because the first episode is very linear. There's not really
Yeah.
like a B plot, but we can get into it. So it is time for us to cover Lost season 3, episode 1, A Tale of Two Cities, and Lost episode 2, The Glass Ballerina.
Literally dying.
Beth was just coughing so hard in between that. You okay?
It will be this.
Well, this is Lost season 3, and I remember this premiere so fondly for that beginning scene with like the music. When you are lonely, all the words on your own, and I don't know the words. Downtown, and then
Yeah.
like the you see obviously the place that the others live in. These like
Mhm.
really nice like houses.
It's like
Um,
it I don't know if this is where this show got it from Lost, but it so reminded me of The Good Place, like the show The Good
oh, they
Place.
probably did. It's ABC, so I think it was ABC.
I don't remember.
Um,
I watched it on Netflix, so I don't remember which network it was on. But the whole premise of that show was kind of like purgatory as well, right? So like you're continually in the bad place until like you kind of make amends and then you're in the good place kind of thing, right?
got it.
So I had like this immediate thought of like, holy shit, I bet that they like modeled this off the or like they modeled it off of Lost. But yeah.
Yeah. So for this first episode, A Tale of Two Cities, what was your thoughts, feelings, ratings, and theories for this episode?
Okay. I was gripped with this episode. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. It
Ooh,
was
that's actually higher than I thought you would
I
give
thought
it.
it was really good. The one minus point is just how awful Jack is. Like
Yes.
it's unwatchable. Like honestly, like I have such a hard time. Like I was like, can we speed through this? I know what he's gonna do with his face. I know what he's gonna do with the like he's intense. Like he's just very like friggin' abusive. And I'm gonna just put this as a special shout out to our good friend Tyler. How in the hell do you even like Jack? I just don't
I don't get it.
get it. This episode is a prime example of just how incredibly entitled and abusive he is. Like he is literally abusive in this episode.
Oh yeah. I think
So bad.
and this is not in defense of Jack. I think this is in defense of the writers. They purposely want you to fucking hate Jack. Like that is the sole
Mission
intention.
accomplished.
Yes, that is the sole intention here, especially in the season 1 or season 3 premiere. You are not meant to like Jack. Even though he is a main character, he is a fucked up person who has done fucked up things in his past and who continues to do fucked up things on the island. And
Yep.
like it's one of those things that are they setting him up for a redemption arc? Who knows? Are they setting him up to
They have
fail?
to be because if they like, I refuse to believe that I am friends with someone like Tyler who can just like him if there's not a redemption arc. Like I'm being
Yeah.
dead serious. Like Tyler and I have good taste in pretty much everything else because we always have the same theories and thoughts about everything else.
Yeah.
This I completely dissent with, and I just have to say, if there's not a redemption arc, Tyler, please, for the love of God, I need you to go to therapy.
Oh my God. I would never put Jack even in my top
48
5, 6.
characters.
Like he's nowhere up there. I find his character very grating.
Yep.
Especially in this like season 3 premiere. Like he's just a shitty character and I don't root for him. I'm not rooting for him at all. I want him to fail. So when I see him in that Hydra station, I'm like, drown, please.
No, when I
Please
see
drown.
him run into the plexiglass, which we did rewind 5 times and watch him just face first into the plexiglass, it's the best scene of all of them. You know what? This episode's a 10 out of 10 purely because I'm changing the rating. No, I'm just kidding. It's still gonna be 9 out of 10. This that killed me. And the sad part is I missed it the first time because I was writing a note and I was like, wait, what happened? Because you're dying laughing and you're like, wait, you didn't see it. And then we went back and we watched it, and we watched it at least 4 or 5 times or so.
Yeah.
Oh man, running into that plexiglass gave me fucking life.
I love it, and I also really love that in the recap for season 2, they decided to weirdly show that scene again. It had no bearing on what the recap was. They just wanted to show it again.
So good. It like that was just like us being like, yeah, they're as shady as we are. We like it.
Oh yeah, they know that you're not gonna like them. Okay. So we also get introduced at the very beginning of this episode 2 new characters. We have Carl, who we've never met before.
He's the one who's Juliet, in the cage, right? Huh? Carl's the other one in the cage, or at first.
Yes.
And then Juliet, I'm like loving.
Oh, she's one of my favorite characters of the show. I love Juliet.
Bitch! That's the female character I wanted on this show!
Yes! I was like, just wait. Like, I love Juliet so much because she brings another level to the others that we have not gotten from any of them. She is like more grounded. There's like a weird power struggle between her and Ben that we get at one point, and you want to know more about her. Like, I love that the takeaway after episode 1 is I want to know more about that Juliet character and less of Jack. I really wish I would have known more about him.
I literally could not give more of a or less of a shit of Jack. Juliet is just amazing. From the moment that she's like talking in that book club about this is my book club, not Ben's, and then they run outside and she sees not Henry Gale, who we then find out is Ben. Yep. And I'm like, I bet that's Ben. And I was right. And I was like, you better work, girl, because I also love Ben. What's his name? Ben Linus?
Yeah, Benjamin Linus. I can now stop calling him Henry Gale. Thank God.
I'm just kidding. So yeah, I'm loving this. This is the kind of power dynamic. I think that this was so smart of the writers to do, is to completely change of like who the power struggle is between now that we're getting into the others, right? If they had continued with this Locke versus Jack or Saeed in this and like all that kind of stuff, it would have been very boring and monotonous. So I'm really happy that they're introducing and throwing this wrench into everything, stirring the pot, giving us a whole new fresh look where we're like, oh, the people that had all the power are powerless. And now the people we didn't know about that we've wanted to know a little bit more, we're getting answers. We're getting more questions. We're getting different characters and different dynamics. Very cool.
And we also have our first gay character, which in my opinion is terribly written, but
wait, which one was
that? Tom, the guy who's like, you're not my type. to Kate.
Oh yeah, the guy who was supposed to be the leader of like had like all the
he gay. It's I wish there was more queer.
You're not my type.
Yeah, and that's basically all we get for gay for all.
And then it goes like this.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gagging for you, F word. Like,
if he had done that, instant MVP. Instant MVP.
Kate's like, excuse me?
Actually, she probably would have joined in because, as we know, Evangeline Lilly is
Yes.
hashtag canceled, so that's okay.
Yeah. Okay,
Um,
so what are your thoughts on the others living in this village
okay.
and like this book club and they seem to be living like a normal life until this plane crashes and then that dynamic fucking shifts like that. Ben's like, "All right, here we go. Here's the plan," and like immediately makes an action.
So here's the thing. They have to know being I'll take a slight step back and then I'll get back to like
Okay.
I'll explain something later what I'm about to say.
Okay.
They clearly know about all the stations for Dharma because they're likely the descendants of Dharma or like their parents were the scientists or whatever, and they're just kind of continuing whatever, something along those lines, right? Um, sorry, I just like I have stuff in my throat and I
No,
can't
you're
shake it.
good.
Um, sorry, one second.
No, cough away, girl. Cough away.
Okay, there we go. So they have to know that if the button doesn't get pushed, that potentially could bring people to the island. So what's weird to me is that it's not the airplane or like in the thing, it's the airplane that brings them outside. But wouldn't you think it would be the electromagnetic thing?
So it is. I will correct you on that. It is actually the sound of the
Okay.
electromagnetic that
I thought
is
they
like
were
bringing
trying to
them
imply
out.
it was the sound of the plane coming in. So
No, they
it starts
noticed the
off with
plane.
the
They're like, "Oh, what
yeah.
the fuck? A plane's crashing."
So they clearly have gone through stuff like this before. So I have to imagine that every time that people have made it to this island who aren't a part of this initiative, it has been because they have been brought here because the button hasn't been pushed. That was my theory at the end of season 2 after we learn all that stuff with Desmond. So, excuse me, they have like a contingency plan essentially, which is like we have to figure out who these people are and basically use them for their research because I don't think that their research has ever been completed. And so someone like Ben Linus, who in this episode says, I've lived here my entire life,
Yeah.
implies to me that one of a few things. One, he was either born on the island and lived there his entire life, which implies that his parents were either scientists or those that did or were people that were experimented on, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Two, it could be that he was brought here through a crash when he was very, very young or of some sort. It doesn't have to be a plane, but it could be something else. Or three, he's lying and he hasn't lived there his entire life.
Yeah.
But Juliet also says a line about later on where she says, where is this? I'm having a hard time reading this.
Where she says, "Back that thing up, mommy."
Yeah, she said, "My my neck,
My
my
back.
back, look my pussy."
And Jack's like, "What?"
That's why Jack ran into the plexiglass because he
He's
wanted
like,
to go.
"Yes."
He's like, "I'll do it." I don't know why I thought I wrote this down. Um, but I thought she said something. This is weird. I thought I wrote it down, but basically, I thought that she said something along the lines of, because Jack says you're Dharma, and she said, "Well, no, we used to be." And she says we, meaning that I'm thinking the collective we. And she said that was a long time ago. And then she says something along the lines of it doesn't matter who we were, it matters who we are. So that tells me that also like there's no more bears in the cages. There's all these different things. So clearly they're in like the zoological area. We've
Yeah.
already seen the medical station. We've seen the observation station. We've seen this like electromagnetic button station. So we don't know what a couple of the other one was abandoned, and we don't really know what that one
Yeah.
was. So clearly over the past 15 years or so, it's really run down. Because at
Yeah,
this
this
point, wasn't it like the early 80s, like when this is
yes.
supposedly happened?
Yeah.
So you're only 25 years away from that, but some of this stuff is looks like it's aged for a long time. And then you also have this
Yeah.
pirate ship that like has been there. And so like they're still counting time in the human time, like the world time that we're used to. But I think that time must work very differently on the island. Like I think some things are sped up, which is how we get like
Like this,
people's
like a
injuries.
statue or like the pirate ship and like things like
But
that.
also
Yeah.
I think it even affects like why the electromagnetic stuff like age or like either ages people or makes them heal
Yeah.
faster. Maybe it's just that they're healing fast. It may be that, you know, every 3 days is actually 3 months or something on this
Or
island.
or like those two skeletons they found in that cave where they were like, they've been here for a very long time.
Right. In like the balloon and the real Henry Gale who's buried and um what's her face? Rousseau saying, I can't believe it's been 16 years. It doesn't feel like it. Things like that, I think.
Yeah.
And clearly, like you said before, the rain is really important in this. And I've always tried to keep that in mind. And I still haven't cracked that code, so to say. But part of me is
Yeah.
really thinking that it's like potentially the weather kind of plays a role in like the passage of time as well.
It could be. I think my original comment was more so about how the writers use rain, and it's like they use it to like punch a scene. So like
Oh, gotcha.
usually when like rain shows up, oh shit's about to go down, and it's
Yeah.
cute. Usually like other writers being like drama, and it's like
Dun, dun,
rain.
dun.
But
Yeah.
it also does play a role in the story because they've mentioned in the show, they're like how weird the weather is and
Mhm.
how like it randomly will just start raining out of nowhere. Um, so I think this is all really good, and I think I want to talk about something like pretty insane that happens. So Jack escapes from his cell and holds a piece of the broken shard of the plate to Juliet's neck, and Juliet's warning him, like, hey, don't open up that door. You're going to kill everyone in here. And Ben's like, basically says, do it. Like, he's like, I'm going to kill her. I'll do it. And Ben just really does not care for Juliet in any way, to the point where he closes the fucking door on Juliet when the water's coming in. So, like,
Yeah.
that's
Again,
why
he'd be great at Survivor.
he'd be amazing, like, truly amazing. And
So
that's
would
why I think,
Juliet.
like, this is so fascinating to see. Usually it's like good cop, bad cop, but
Mhm.
it's only her in the room. And so she's only playing good cop. And she's kind of showing another side to like the others that we've never seen so far in the first two seasons. And it really makes you think, is there more to these people than like what we've been led on to believe? And are they're clearly not a hive mind. So what
Yeah,
Ben is doing might not be in agreement with what everyone else is doing. And that's like
right.
fascinating to me
Definitely.
in
And
this.
then who's the is it was it Cassidy? Is that the girl that Sun shoots in the second episode was
Oh,
whatever
her
it is?
name is, give me a second. I can pull it up.
Because she clearly has disdain for Juliet as well.
Yes. There was definitely definite disdain there. Her name is Colleen.
Colleen, I knew it began with a C, and that she obviously is now, and she's involved with another other and that kind of thing. Although they call them the others, but we haven't really learned a word for them. So I'm just going to
Yeah.
keep calling them the others or the Dharma Initiative, and I'm going to use them interchangeably because even though they aren't currently the Dharma Initiative, Juliet
Yeah.
kind of confirms that they're basically kind of like what is left over of whatever that was.
So that brings into a good question then. Do you think Kelvin was an actual member of the Dharma Initiative, or do you think he was an other? Because he was still pushing that button. He still wore the Dharma Initiative stuff. He still lived in the hatch, and he was trying to get off the island via sailboat. He didn't really seem to have any interaction with the others, but we don't know that. He might have. So, like, do you think the Dharma Initiative still exists?
It's hard to tell because I think that I still am convinced that the Dharma Initiative is who Ben is potentially working for, but I think that Juliet isn't working for the Dharma Initiative. So I
Got
feel like
it.
just like you said, there's a hive mind. I feel
Yeah.
like there isn't a hive mind. I mean, I think that there's like there's got to be some kind of tension between the people who truly believe in what the Dharma Initiative we're doing and the people who believe in protecting the peace of their community and their people. And I feel like
Yeah.
Juliet is the latter and Ben is the former. I truly believe that the coordinates he gave Michael and Walt were to go not back home, but to wherever Dharma is.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that Julia is likely trying to find a way to overthrow Ben as a leader because he's clearly the leader. But what he said before, too, in the hatch is still interesting to me. And I can't tell if it was just because he was manipulating them in the moment when he was saying, no, you have no idea. It's not, forget that guy. He's nobody. It's someone much higher. So he could have been talking about himself and just like, manipulating them, or it really could be whoever he's talking about who is much higher than that person and the real person that like controls him, so to say, because he
Yeah.
does strike me as somebody who's not quite drunk with power but is definitely embraces the power that he has,
Yeah.
um and doesn't like distension, um but I don't know, it's a really interesting thing and I can't wait to learn more about it. But I think that Calvin did work for the Dharma Initiative, but we also know that that was 3 years ago. So that does I mean, she says that was a long time ago, but it very well could have been
Yeah. We don't know.
like 3 years ago. She says that's long. That could be long for them, you know?
Yeah. And so it brings up a lot of like very interesting questions. Um and that's why I think that this season, as I clearly like that's gonna be the arc here that we're gonna
Yeah,
get is like a very others driven kind of storyline. I
and
mean,
I'm here
shit,
for
we
it.
didn't even get any Locke or
It's
Saeed
'cause they're dead.
or
That's because 'cause they're dead, not Saeed.
oh no, I mean like all like any of the people on like the survivor side, like the
Yeah, it's because 'cause Locke is
yeah.
dead. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, yes, he could be dead, but I'm seeing like
I know, I'm just
none of
joking.
those loose ends were tied
No,
here.
not until the second episode do we get to see Saeed's son and Jin.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's really interesting to see to get back to at least to A Tale of Two Cities. What happens with Sawyer and Kate. So Kate is like they give her this really weird moment of like putting her
I
in a
don't like this.
dress. Yeah, it's
This
strange.
it's not that it's just strange, like, this is deeply disturbing to watch as a woman. Um,
Yeah,
they are fucking around with her psyche and basically trying
yeah,
to make it seem like they're gonna rape the crap out of her. Like, I don't like that at all. Um,
yeah,
"Oh, no, we wanted you to dress nice and feel like you were looking out in the same ocean as everybody else and all these other things because for the next 2 weeks, it's not gonna be that nice." If
yeah,
you're a woman, your first thought is, "I'm about to be
yeah, like,
violently hurt and
yeah.
abused." Like, that is what your first thought is, especially after they made such a big deal of, like, putting her in a dress and, like, all these things,
Giving
like,
her a shower.
it's just weird to me.
But it's
Um,
also really weird because, like, she ends up being put in the same cell as Sawyer. So, like, what was the entire purpose of that beginning scene of having her have breakfast and all that jazz? If she's literally just like her torture is the same stuff that Sawyer's gonna go through.
it's to torture Sawyer. That's what it is. And I think
Yeah.
that what they're really trying to do is that they know a lot about these characters, as we know from like the manifesto on Jack that Juliet has. But I
Yeah.
still think they're still trying to figure out who these people are in the context of the island, right? That's what the lists were for. That's what all these different things were for. And I think that they're trying to figure out what are the motivations, what are the relationships between these people so they have a better idea of how to test them or how to, put pressure points on them and that kind of thing. Which is why he questions why Sawyer? You said Sawyer and Jack. You didn't say Jack and Sawyer. And I think
Yeah.
everybody assumes that it's Kate and Jack and then Sawyer, but I think that's like their first indication of, oh no, this is let's test this theory out. And I think based off of how he reads her at breakfast, depends on where she goes. She could have gone on the other side of the plexiglass down there with Jack, I
Maybe.
think. So both areas where Sawyer and Jack are could have offered
It's
an
true.
opportunity for her to go on another area. And I think that they said, oh, I think that, Sawyer makes much more sense. And then, it's his way of, you know,
Yeah.
that's
It's
just what it is.
it is interesting to know that there is a station that is fully underwater.
I think it's
Like
the same station that they're at. It's just a part of it is underwater.
that can make sense too. Yeah, it's just like it's intriguing, and it also kind of explains why there is a Dharma initiative on a shark or a logo on a shark
Yeah.
because of like obviously they were testing some of these. They were doing something with these animals. We're not sure exactly what it is that they were doing, but they were doing something.
Da,
And
da, 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 da.
they made dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that would be so fucking funny if out of nowhere you're like, next episode special guest is Jeff
Raptors.
Goldblum, and it's just like
I would love it.
freaking raptors and
I'm
a
here for
T-Rex.
it. And then it ends up being Chris Pratt. You want Jeff Goldberg or Goldblum, you get Chris Pratt. I want a fish biscuit. I want to know what they taste like.
I don't. I hate fish, so
I
not
doubt they
into that.
taste like fish.
I hope
Maybe
they
they do.
don't. I also don't want one that's been sitting in that machine for about 40 years.
They probably fill them back up. That water looked very clear that came out of those
No,
pipes.
it did not. The
It looked
water then hits the most gross thing of all time.
Yeah, it's true.
Which, I mean, if you're desperate, you're gonna drink the water regardless, right? Oh my god. Him working out how to get the treat was hysterical, and then the guy going, "It only took the Bears 30 minutes," or
Yeah.
whatever. So
Took him
good.
2 hours, and he's just like, "Fuck." Yeah, it is pretty funny. Overall though, what would you say is your biggest question that you want answered after this premiere?
Um,
That
I
isn't obviously answered in the second episode.
right. I really want to know more about why. Why are they doing this to Jack, Kate, and Sawyer? And
Yeah.
what is their goal? Like, I want to know more about their goal. And then I also want to know a little bit more about their history. Like, why are they living in this nice place? Like, do they go there every night? Or now that everyone's on the island, have they moved back to these stations? I don't know.
Yeah, it's very intriguing. So let's get into the second episode, which is the Glass Ballerina,
Yeah.
which
Oh, wait, side note for this
oh
first
yeah,
episode,
that's right,
my
MVP and LVP.
my favorite thing in the whole world,
Yeah.
Juliet punched Jack. It was so good.
Oh, it was hot. It
So
was
good.
so hot.
She, like, saves him, he presses the button, and then he turns around,
Bam!
and she just right in the
Wrecks the shit out
kisser,
of him.
and he knocks out and then she's kinda, like, holding him and, like, kind of, like, keeping his head above the water to protect him
Yeah,
because obviously she wants him alive. There's also an interesting moment at the end where, like, she is able to break him down and he accepts the sandwich, and when she leaves the room, Ben's like, "Good work, Juliet," which is clearly she's supposed to be the one to get to Jack and form the trust, which is why I feel
yeah,
like
good
Ben
cop.
actually leaves her um in when the water happens, is just to like, well, if she dies, it's one
Oh,
less person to oppose me. But I also think that
very
it's
true.
another opportunity to show that like Juliet, he's never going to trust Ben in a million years based off of their history, but he could potentially trust Juliet, and they have a literal history of not agreeing with each other. So if they can play off of that, then we can
It's very
break him.
true.
So I think that that's what a lot of it was too.
That is a very fascinating theory. So you'll have to wait and see. But
Also 100% correct.
100% correct. So who's your MVP and LVP for the first episode?
MVP Juliet all the way. She punched Jack. I'm
Yeah, let's
happy.
fucking
She's fucking
go.
awesome. She's like opposing Ben. Like she's a badass bitch. She's like literally everywhere.
She
I
is
love
what
her.
we needed Anna Lucia to be.
I'm so happy she's dead. All the people I've like truly hated for the exception of Jack have died. And
It's
honestly, it's
true.
all good. I just almost ripped my headphones out there.
Who's your LVP?
Um, Jack.
I was about to say, I was like, Jack's a piece of
Like,
shit.
his whole flashback of him being, like, so completely,
And we
like,
didn't even cover it because it's like so bad.
he's so unhinged when it comes to his ex-wife, a woman who he, like, 2 seasons ago admittedly didn't even fully love. Like, so why?
Yes.
It's just purely because he wants control over her and wants to
Yep.
feel like this. It's
He wants to
Jack
fix
is
her.
a
And
piece of shit.
yeah, so basically how he had treated her in the past was like his little project. He had fixed
Mhm.
her and then he wanted to like continue to fix her. And now that she is on her own, she clearly doesn't love him. He wants the power to keep his little project around and it's disgusting.
And just, like, the whole phone calls and, like, blaming his dad, going to the AA meeting and,
Oh
like,
my
making a
god.
scene and punching his father at AA, like, what the hell? Like, y'all know, I am no Christian Shepherd fan. When I have to take Christian Shepherd's side and say, "You need to sit your fucking ass down,"
It's true.
that's a moment.
That's a hot mess moment.
But there we go, thank you.
Yeah.
Honestly, hot
Um
mess moments and the first O should just have Jack's face in it.
I'm here for it. So in terms of episode 2, The Glass Ballerina, we get
I also
more. Oh yeah, yeah, go
sorry,
on. No,
we
you're
didn't
fine.
talk about Carl. Um,
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about Carl.
I kinda wanna just quickly go over my theory about him. I
Go
think
for
that
it.
he's somebody who, um he looks like he's around the same age as Alex.
Yeah, he's kind of young.
So either there was someone young on the expedition trip that Rousseau had, and I can't remember if she said that there was a young boy or whatever on their trip, or she never said anything.
I don't think she
So
did.
either he's from that area, but it would be weird that he wouldn't have grown up to be an other, um, like Alex was, unless he's been super defiant and they're just like keeping him here, or he just has never passed whatever tests they have or whatever of some capacity.
Yeah.
Or he was another survivor potentially from Oceanic, but was like not in the tail or whatever, just like happened somewhere in between and got kidnapped. Or maybe he was in the tail section and was one of the people who was kidnapped that first night and we just didn't really notice
Mm,
it. But I think that it's going to be interesting to learn more about who he is because clearly he's not an other, or maybe he is but is not, is like a defiant other, or there's something that he's sick or his standard doesn't go there because the
yeah.
way he has to apologize to Sawyer is weird. It doesn't come across like they wouldn't do that to Kate or him, right? And maybe it's because they know each other, but like it's a weird thing that they're clearly trying to punish him and make an example out of him in a weird way.
And Alex refers to him. She asks Kate in the second episode about Carl and is like,
Right.
"Hey, did you see a guy?" And obviously Kate never saw him, so she's like,
Right.
no, not really." And then remarks about the dress. And she's like, "Oh, that's my dress, actually,
You can
bitch."
keep it. Yeah.
Yeah. Then she
So
comes over and literally rips it off of her, and
that'd be so fucking funny.
they had a fucking mud fight. There was randomly a mud pit just right there.
I could just see Sora go, "Hey, Freckles, you got freckles all over your body too."
Ooh.
Bleh.
Okay, so episode 2, we have this big focus on Jin and Sun. So we kind of get the continuation of that storyline that we got in season 2 about
Mhm.
um
They
this
did fuck.
they did fuck, and so we are now up in the air about who the father of this baby could be because this was fairly close to when they ended up leaving. And so
Yep.
what are your thoughts on this episode? The rating, theories, any
This one's
that?
about a 7 out of 10. I think it's like a really decent episode. There's some really good moments in it, but I overall wasn't just as I wasn't as
Yeah,
enthralled because it focused much more on characters who I've kind of already know what's going on to a certain extent, and I wanted more with what we just got teased with, if that makes sense.
yeah.
I am over this whole Jin and Sun thing. Like I'm so over them
Yeah.
Fighting and then being good and then fighting and then being good because he's so abusive. But honestly,
Yeah.
she is too. Um
Yes.
and that's not something I really thought about with her until I saw that she was cheating and that kind of thing. But I also think that like she does gaslight him a lot. And some of that is cultural because she had to protect herself. But a lot of
Yeah.
that also is classist, I think. And I it's just such an unhealthy relationship in so
Yeah, it
many
is.
capacities. And I understand like why both characters are the way they are, but it doesn't make it an excuse at the end of the day, you know? Um,
Yeah.
so with this background, the TLDR essentially is like, yes, she cheated. Her father just like somehow knows and like barges in on them basically in
Yeah.
bed. And then he hires Jin to take out this guy because he's shamed him, but he doesn't tell Jin why. And then Jin goes to kill him, saves him. And then I'm not convinced that he just kills himself and jumps holding the pearls. I think her her father knew that Jin wouldn't go through with it and hired another person to go
Maybe.
there and pushed him off by making him hold the pearls as he did that and make it look like it was a suicide attempt. So that would make it was two things, right? It accomplished that his daughter would never be publicly shamed, which means his family name would never be publicly shamed. It also ensures that her his daughter would not run away with this guy. So that's
Yep.
why he wanted him dead. And then she goes to the funeral, and he's like, basically says, "It's not my job to tell him, or like, it's not my place to do so."
Yeah.
Um, so sorry, can you hear my dryer?
Yeah, I heard that. I was like, what is that?
I gotta go pause that. Otherwise, it's gonna keep going. So
Go for
actually,
it.
can you just like vent
Yes,
for a
of
second?
course. Of course. That's why I think that this is fascinating. So unlike how Beth feels about Jin and Sun, I actually find them to be very captivating characters because of the fact that they are both so flawed. This is clearly a relationship that is not the most healthy, and it is built off of a very shaky foundation. And here, wait, Beth's back. So Beth, I was just telling them I actually find Jin and Sun pretty fascinating because their relationship is so toxic
Yeah.
that I'm curious how it will be potentially fixed by being on this island away from their father and away from the classism that
Hmm.
they get back in Korea. And we see obviously Jin still has his guard up from
Yeah.
everything he's experienced from back in Korea. But Sun, obviously, now that she doesn't have her father there, she can take the onus and take the power back in her relationship. And we see her do that time and time again throughout all three of these seasons. But we're realizing in this episode that she is also being very harmful to this relationship by not
Yeah.
being completely transparent to Jin.
Yep.
And
Well,
that,
part of that is still afraid that I think that he's going to hurt her or leave her.
yes,
And he's the one constant that she has. And I think, I mean, clearly they also genuinely do care for each other, but
yeah,
they just don't know how to care for each other in a way that they did before they got married when
yep,
everything got screwed up, essentially by her father.
yeah,
Um, it's, it is fascinating, but I'm also just kind of over it and I don't really care that much anymore. So I'm just
yeah,
like, all right, I got the squeeze out of it now, so do something with it. Like, that's
yeah.
what I wanna
Give
know.
us more character development. Like
And
let's
so
let's let the plot go forward.
here's where I think they are going with this.
Okay,
I think Jin knows that she cheated. I
okay,
think that he knows that because he said to when they're building the fire on the beach, he says, "I already know that she lied to me." And I think that we're supposed to believe it's in that moment, but I think he knows that she's lied to him about this. And I think that he's probably putting together the pieces of like what she has told him, what she hasn't told him about the
yeah,
pregnancy and all those different kinds of things. Or maybe he put two and two together with her father or something like that, right? And I just think he knows. And I think what they're going to do with that is, you know, there's got to be some kind of boiling point where he kind of goes off on her about it.
Yeah. I mean, and that's where I'm curious, like, if he does know, do you think Jin would be mad about it? After I think all of the stuff that he has done to Sun, I could see two paths for Jin. I could see one where he realizes all the shitty stuff that he's done, so he really doesn't hold it against her because he pushed her to that place.
Right.
But also, I see another path where he's like, I was doing all of this for you. I was literally like possibly murdering people just to be with you. And for you to like go and turn your back on me is so shameful to
I think it's
me.
both.
Yeah.
I
I
think
mean,
that
it is
I
shameful.
it's super shameful, but I think that it's the thing that I think it's both for him. I think that that's why he hasn't said anything yet is because there is that still sense where like he's affected by the view of their relationship and all that stuff and like her father's like hold on the family.
Yeah.
But I also think he understands, especially now that he's gotten to be a lot more understanding here. And I think that's why he was so upset with the realization that she learned English was because he's like, there's so many more things I know about you, and this is one more thing that you've done behind my back. Like, I think that
Yeah.
that is what makes sense. So I think it's a both situation. And I think that's why he hasn't said anything to her yet. And I also, there is that desperation that he has two things. One, he has a child on the way now, and he wants to be protective of her for that. But I also think that he needs her to communicate and he can't push away the one person who is essentially his lifeline for communicating with other people on the island.
Yeah. But we do learn in this episode, he is starting to understand English better because
Mhm.
he fully understands what Saeed's plan is with this fire, based off of obviously context clues, but
Yeah.
also their conversation, where he like
Yep.
picks up words here and there, which I think is really interesting. Um, so we obviously get that scene with Sun on the boat with the gun. What did you feel about it? We got to see
Good for
badass
her.
Sun.
I love that Colleen's like, "You're not gonna do it." And that just further proves a little bit of the fallacy that, the others have is they think they know everything about these characters, and I don't have a theory of how they know. It could be, through it could be any number of things. Again, we could tie it back to a whole God thing that maybe the
Yeah.
Dharma is a God thing, and this is like a plane where they're playing around, or it's a waiting place, or whatever. And that's how they have all this information on them. But maybe the people on the island aren't aware, like the Dharma initiative people aren't aware that they're doing like the whole thing, right? You could play
Yeah.
those games all day. Regardless, Colleen thinks, "Oh, I know everything about you and you wouldn't do this." And it's to her. I don't know if Colleen's dead. She got shot in the abdomen, which is not a good place to get shot.
Yeah.
But it can be survivable depending on which organs you hit. Um, so she gets shot, and then it looks like Sun is potentially shot in the arm or something like that as she falls into the ocean. And I was so convinced one of those Dharma sharks was going to come out of nowhere too.
I just ate her ass.
Yeah, because last time Jin was in the water when someone got shot, that happened. So Jin goes out to save Sun and she's shot in the water. Bitch, last time a shark showed up and it was Dharma.
Yeah.
Saying
I mean, yeah,
Dharma karma.
it is actually really interesting. I'm looking through this. One thing to note that's really interesting also, outside of the now we'll talk about it when we talk about Ben and Jack, this like conversation that they have. But is there any other things about the Jin and Sun thing that you wanted to cover?
No, I do think it's interesting that Saeed like knows that they've been captured. And I just it's weird to me that they wouldn't assume the others would go for the boat. Like the
Yeah,
clearly
it is bad planning, I think, on Saeed's part. Like,
like
why would you also keep the boat here? Like, this is
yeah,
clearly a very important commodity that you don't want to get rid of.
It's also one of those things that's like, why wouldn't you at least have 2 people on the boat and 1 person on
Yes.
land? Because even though you're starting the fire there, you know that these people know the island better than you, that they're clearly well organized, that they are 1 step ahead of
Yes.
you typically, and you're trying to be 1 step ahead of them. And by doing so, you have to assume what their 1 step is gonna be.
Yep.
And by assuming they're gonna do the predictable move, you're losing. So I don't know. Clearly, also, they're silent, and I don't know if it's because they know the island well or if they have powers or whatever. I still don't get it.
They did make a few noises to the point where like Sun was able to clue in that they were on the boat. But yeah, they
Mm.
are like weirdly silent.
But it's not like people heard them swimming out there. I also don't know how they got out there. Was there another boat? Because they were dry.
I think they may have. I think they. Well, yeah, they were dry. I think the intention here is that they did swim in, and they climbed up over the edges. But I think they were production wise dry. They should have been wet.
Production error. Beth caught it.
Yes.
But that's the point. Is like, did they do one of those? Oh my gosh, do you remember in
What?
Twilight Eclipse when like the newborn army is like going
I'm gonna
underwater
vomit.
and they're just like, and then they just come above water like
I hate
because they
it.
don't breathe. That's what they did.
And they did that. In terms of the other scenes of Sawyer and Kate, obviously we get that kiss, because Sawyer just wants to kind of be defiant, and we see
I
them
also
building something.
And he's also trying to figure out, he knows that he's gonna piss them off and he wants to figure out what their strength is and such. What he fails to realize is they're listening in on their conversation, which like I would also just assume that's the case.
Yeah. Also, I would also assume that they probably have preventative measures if you're going to try and steal their taser. Like,
I don't care so much about the taser thing because I'm like, that's actually a fairly good,
yeah,
try it out. Now you know kind of thing. Why you have to assume they're listening to you because why else would they put you two in 2 cages together with no one around? Like clearly there's a recording device of some sort.
yeah. There's got to be something, clearly, and we find out that Ben's listening in and watching them the entire time.
From the
In
girl.
turn,
Just kidding.
in terms of the Jack and Sawyer, or sorry, the Jack and Ben situation, we learned that the others still have a connection to the outside world. They showcase stuff that has happened since the plane has crashed, such as the Red Sox winning, which is actually a pretty iconic moment in Lost. Is this when this episode had aired, the Red Sox. So when this was filmed, the Red Sox had not. I could be mistaken on this. So
You're mistaken. I can
so
already see.
someone correct me on it. So the Red Sox
They
had
won
not
in
won
2000
yet.
No, they won in 2004, and
They
so did
did.
the presidential election was in 2004. So remember that this is taking place in 2004, even though it was shot in 2006.
Okay. Then
So
yeah,
they
never
did.
mind.
That's why I'm
They did.
saying I know that you're wrong.
Okay. I don't know where I'm getting that from, but yes, the Boston Red Sox scene is a very important scene just because of the fact that I don't know, people really
You know what they
they
should
love
have
it.
done is they
They
should have
love
set
Red
this in 2003 and shown Aaron Boone's walk-off hit against the Red Sox. Blah, blah, blah. But I understand the whole point is that because the Red Sox suck so much that it's so surprising that they would win the World Series. Unlike they couldn't do that with the Yankees because everybody would go, I know they're 27-time world champs. Although at this time it only would have been 26.
Ooh, girl, she's got those sports facts. Then there is Ben's stipulation to Jack about I'll have a task for you. Or something of that sort. Like I'll ask you to do something at some point for me. And when you do that thing, I'll send you home like I did Michael and Walt. What do you think this task is?
I don't know. I really don't have any sense. I still am not convinced they actually sent home Walt because he said
Yeah.
they'll never give you Walt. Like clearly Walt is special. And I don't know if there's anything special about these 3. And I feel like it's just so weird. Is the task to get other people from the plane over here? That's what Michael had to do. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll find out in episodes 3 and
I feel like we're
4
not going to.
of
I think it's
Lost.
gonna be like an episode 10, 11, like mid-season
Maybe.
premiere kinda thing, or you know what I mean?
All right. I'm going to tell you the names of these upcoming two. Oh, no. Before we get into that, MVP and LVP.
My MVP is honestly, I'm gonna go with Sawyer on this one. I liked Sawyer's, um, even though he was being a little horn dog towards Kate, I also appreciate like a lot of what he was doing was trying to get information, and he's so
Yeah.
quick to just fly off the you know the broom handle that he really, even with this incredibly strenuous situation, and he sees that Kate is not doing well, he holds it together for the two of them. Um and I don't know. I just this is a side of him that's not quite chivalrous, but it's also
Yeah.
like I really like it. I think it's a really intriguing side of his character.
It's so fascinating to see Sawyer from episode 1 of season 1 and how fucking racist and gross he is and how we get him now.
I
He is a
know.
very character.
Well, he also like his arc is two things. One, to be less self-involved and also to be more self-forgiving.
Yeah.
And I think this is the thing that's going to allow him to have that change. Um, and then Kate's whole thing is that she's used to running away. So I feel like the fact that she is literally imprisoned, this will be the thing that she can't escape and has to face, you know?
Yep.
So those kind of things are important. So anyway, I think that he's going to be my MVP. My LVP is going to go to Sun.
Ooh, okay. For the fact that
Yeah,
she's lying to
I would
Jen.
love to give it to Sun and Jin because Jin's also incredibly abusive here.
Yes.
But honestly, this episode is her making horrific choices for her baby, who I'm starting to think she actually doesn't want the child, in which case, like, I don't know. I think that she's just making really poor choices as a partner, as a potential mother, like all these different
Yeah.
kinds of things. And I'm sorry if that's just like super awful of me to say, because obviously in real life I would never judge a parent like this, but like in a fictional show, I'm gonna go ahead and do it.
You're like, I'm gonna fucking go in.
This is the one time
Um
I'm allowed to do so, and I'm going to do
okay, so the next 2 episodes, we have episode 3, it's called Further Instructions.
it.
Who do you
Okay.
think it is about?
Then
It is about Locke. It is a Locke-centric episode. I'll leave that be for what it is, whether or not Locke is alive or not, we'll have to see.
I know
But
he's alive. I just wanted to say he was dead because I thought it would be funny.
but yes, Further Instructions is episode 3. I'm gonna say it's a weird one. It's just a weird one.
Okay.
This is an episode that I read through the flashbacks and I was like, this happened? I don't remember this, but okay.
Okay.
So I'm curious to see what your thoughts
Well,
are.
drop an edible next time. Got it.
Uh, that might be relevant to this episode 3 might be
Oh, that's so
relevant.
funny.
And then episode 4 is called Every Man for Himself.
Saeed.
It is a Sawyer centric episode.
I knew it couldn't be Jack, and thought about whether or not it'd be Sawyer, but then I was like, I think it'll probably be either Saeed or Jin. But then we just had a son and Jin, so that's why I went on Saeed. But that doesn't shock me. I'm happy to see that.
Yeah, this episode is interesting. Like this, okay, so like
We
this
haven't gotten
season,
a Sawyer flashback in a long time.
we really haven't. And I actually liked this episode. There's a specific scene in this episode that's pretty iconic. So I'll have you decide what that is when it happens. But this one does
Always fun because I always choose the wrong scene. Remember
yeah.
when you were like, now we had the iconic scene in this episode, and I was like, yeah, when she puts him in a pit, and you were like, no, it's when the others are walking silently, you dumb fuck. Like, it was funny.
Yes. It's gonna be a fun one, I think.
Yeah.
I'm very hyped for these next 2 episodes. This season holds a special place in a lot of people's hearts. Also, I was corrected,
Oh,
found out the writer's strike happens in season 4.
okay.
So season 3 was actually the issue of the writing staff having to fill the amount of episodes that they were given. So there's a
Mm,
lot of filler in season 3.
gotcha.
Some of it is funnier than others. Um
If it's more
specific
Jack running into a plexiglass, I could have literally a whole episode about that, and I'd be so happy.
specifically, I'm not going to say the names of the episodes. Episode 9
Okay.
is like rated as one of the worst episodes of Lost ever.
Is it like
And
Chatterbox level?
it's not Chatterbox level, but
Okay,
it's like, what was the purpose of this episode?
gotcha.
And then episode 14, which is Chatterbox level, but it's iconic.
Okay.
It's like, it's so bad, it's good.
Okay.
It ends up eating its own ass and becoming actually really fucking good, to the point where people were pissed off that there wasn't more of what happens in episode 14.
So what I'm getting is what we will watch in season 3 of The Nanny is this is people feel like that with the animated episode, the Christmas episode of The Nanny. Like, why didn't we have more of these? But also, it's really bad. Why did this happen?
Yeah, very much that. And I can't
I
wait till we get there.
personally,
I'm of
but
the camp, I fucking hate episode 14, but there are people that are in the camp of this is so fucking iconic.
oh my god, I bet
It,
I'm gonna be the iconic one then.
you probably will. Honestly, I think you probably will.
That's great.
But this has been amazing. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Make sure to follow us at Hot Mess Moments for more of our coverage of Lost and the Nanny. And you can find me at 8-Bit Dylan if you want to talk about anything Lost related.
And you can follow me at AugustaWind11 if you want to watch anything or talk to me about anything The Nanny related. Our plan is to release an episode next week for both
Yes.
The Nanny and Lost. However, our schedules may complicate that, mostly me coming back. So if we
Yeah.
don't release something, know that that was a possibility. And
And
instead,
there might be a possibility of us uploading one episode next week of neither Lost or The Nanny, and it's a throwback episode of Beth and I reviewing Scary Movie 3. So we
this
will
is what
see.
we did to record to test out our dynamic before we even did our
So it's
first.
rough.
It's a rough one, but I think would
Yeah.
be super funny to upload. So, if
Yeah.
we are unable to record next week, we will upload Scary Movie 3.
A review of Scary Movie 3. It'll be a fun thumbnail to make.
It'll be so
Um,
stupid.
I can't wait. But thank you all so much. We will see you all hopefully next week. And until then, stay awesome, stay beautiful, you lovely people.
Bye.
Bye.